Travel with Bill, year 2021A. This program is being brought to you during a time of COVID-19 and distance. While the new high school is open, the studio is not yet up and running, so I'll be narrating the program for this first travel log of the new year. Let's go traveling. Today we are traveling to Cannes and San Raphael, France, and also to Barcelona, Spain. Entering the port of Cannes, looking from the deck of our cruise ship towards the town of Cannes, and then looking at our cruise ship, the Norwegian Bliss, from the cruise terminal. Cannes, France is a picturesque city located in the French Riviera, well known for the Cannes Film Festival that takes place each May. Cannes is also a very popular tourist destination in Europe. It offers visitors great weather, interesting tourist attractions, and a beautiful Mediterranean beach. Promenade de la Croisée. Promenade de la Croisée, or the Boulevard de la Croisée, is a prominent road in Cannes, France. It stretches along the shore of the Mediterranean Sea and is about a mile long. The boulevard is known for where the Cannes Film Festival is held. Wandering through the old town, at the heart of the old town, the old church of Notre Dame des Espérances and the 11th century Montchevier watchtower dominate the skyline. From the top of the watchtower there is a wonderful panoramic outlook onto the beach and the bay all the way to Lorraine Island. Another joy of visiting this area is wandering the quaint old streets. Catch a film at the Festival de Cannes Film Festival in May. Of all the things to do in the French Riviera, the Festival de Cannes is said to be the most exciting. This prestigious red carpet event is definitely one of the biggest events of the year in Cannes. The festival draws movie stars and filmmakers from all over the world, as well as crowds of fans and journalists. Originally, the Festival de Cannes was established to rival the Venice Film Festival. Since its first edition in 1946, the festival has earned its international reputation for discovering, supporting, and promoting new and in many cases different films. Let's take a quick look at some of the residents that made Cannes famous. Grace Kelly, Hollywood star and Princess of Monaco, was born November 1929 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to an influential family. Her father, John P. Kelly, had won 3 Olympic gold medals. Grace retired from acting after only 6 years. At the age of 26, she married Prince Rainier of Monaco, and she began her duties as Princess of Monaco. She died at 52 years old at the Monaco Hospital on September 14, 1982, succumbing to injuries sustained in a car crash the previous day. She is listed 13th among the American Film Festival's 25 greatest female stars of the classical Hollywood cinema. During that 6-year period, she earned 13 major cinematic awards. While Princess, she also received 10 international awards for her humanitarian programs which she championed. Francis Scott Fitzgerald is an American novelist, essayist, screenwriter, and short storyteller. During his 44-year lifetime, Fitzgerald only received wide critical and popular acclaim after his death. His third novel, The Great Gatsby of 1925, was inspired by his rise to fame and relationship with Zelda. Although it received mixed reviews at the time, The Great Gatsby is now widely praised, with some even labeling it the great American novel, while Zelda was placed in a mental institution for her schizophrenia. Robert Louis Stevenson, a Scottish novelist, poet, and travel writer, most noted for Treasure Island, Kidnapped, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and A Child's Garden of Verses. Pierre-Auguste Renoir was a French artist who was a leading painter in the development of Impressionist style. A small version of Val du Monet de Goethe sold for $78.1 million in 1990 at Sotheby's in New York. Pablo Picasso, a Spanish painter, sculptor, paintmaker, ceramist who spent most of his adult life in France, regarded as one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. His Les Femmes d'Alger sold for $179.4 million at Christie's, May 11, 2015. Jules Verne rented a villa where he worked on the stage adaptation of one of his most famous works, Around the World in 80 Days, and would on later visits work on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and A Voyage to the Moon. If you're interested by chance, the most expensive painting ever sold was Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi. It sold for $450.3 million at Christie's, November 2017. Castle of la Croix des Gardes in Cannes. Sitting at 213 meters above the sea level, the castle offers an unsurpassed panoramic view of both the Mediterranean Sea and the snowy mountains of the Alps. The castle is breathtaking. Essentially, it has become a true fantasy that embodies the legend of Cannes itself. One thought that the famous International Film Festival would host the opening legendary event at the castle. In fact, it was with Alfred Hitchcock's famous film To Catch a Thief with Grace Kelly and Cary Grant that the castle first served as an unforgettable backdrop of the costume ball. Kelly co-starred in the classic film with Cary Grant in 1955 and fell in love with the amazing, beautiful castle. Scenes from the film's Masquerade Ball were shot here. The property is currently on the market for the first time in 56 years with a price tag of $53.5 million. The Lorenz Islands. Turns out a 15-minute boat ride is enough to keep most tourists away. That's all it takes to get from Cannes to Sainte Marguerite, the largest of the largely unspoiled Lorenz Islands. Lorenz Castle was part of the monastery and was a target for the Moors so they could control the entrance of Cannes. Built in the 5th century, it has seen its fair share of violence. The abbey was attacked several times by the Saracens, who on one such raid massacred the monks. Between the 11th and 14th century, the monastery was fortified to offer refuge from the attacks. Its builders added imposing 1-meter-thick walls and a huge cistern to store fresh water so they could withstand a siege for quite some time. The abbey is still inhabited by the Cistercian monks today. When you arrive, get your geek on at the fort, which contains the cell of the movie The Man in the Iron Mask, and is probably the closest we will ever get to Leonardo DiCaprio. The 20 or so monks of the Lorenz Abbey on the small island in the Mediterranean near Cannes make about 30,000 bottles of wine per year in between their regular religious duties. More castles. Villa Rothschild in Cannes, France. Betty de Rothschild bought the land in Cannes on which to build a villa for 360,000 French francs in 1881. In 1952, the house was sold to the town of Cannes and today houses the town library. I would not be real concerned about the family selling this villa over to the city as the library, since they own 103 more estates in 8 different countries. The painted walls. If you're a fan of film, take some time to admire the painted walls of Cannes. Found throughout the city, these walls pay tribute to the cinema with depictions of famous actors, actresses, and movie scenes. Among the walls, you'll find paintings of Marilyn Monroe, Buster Keaton, James Dean, and many others. For help locating the various murals, download a brochure from the Cannes Tourist Office for a full list with addresses. The murals are a fun and interesting addition to the city. They've been around since 2004. Stroll through the murals any time of the day or night and keep an eye out for visit different parts of the city. The murals are free to view. While you're in most European cities, it is almost impossible to get away from the history of the European countries. Looking at the hillside, you can see the breastworks that were placed there 2,000 years ago when Rome was in charge. California. This lovely district of Cannes amplifies the glamorous French Riviera scenery. Gorgeous vacation villas are surrounded by lush gardens and palm trees. This charming area is a wonderful place for a relaxing afternoon stroll. A day trip from Cannes. Why go to Monaco? Maybe you're enchanted by real-life fairy tales. American sweetheart Grace Kelly married Monaco's prince. Perhaps you need a need for speed. The Monaco Grand Prix zooms through this principality each year. Or maybe you're interested in the CNBC scene. Monaco is the gateway of the jet set, or should we say the yacht set crowd. On the road to San Raphael. The roads in this area are excellent condition with well marked for travelers. They do not have the weather changes that we have, causing the roads to buckle and heave in cold weather, leaving potholes. San Raphael is a community in the Var department of the province Alpes de Côte d'Azur region in southeastern France. In 2017, it had a population of 35,042 people. Basilica Notre Dame de la Victoire in San Raphael. Inaugurated in 1887, it was named in honor of the famous Lepanto sea battle in 1571 when the Holy League defeated the fleet of the Ottoman Empire. And this is where the famous Spanish writer Cervantes, author of Don Quixote, lost his hand. The Vatican elevated it to the rank of basilica in 2004. If you're interested, you're never too far away from American food. I believe we saw American franchise food companies represented in every country and local area we visited. The Archaeological Museum of San Raphael. This museum is housed in a historical monument located in the old part of town. Both the Romanesque church and the museum are historic and cultural jewels. The museum has the remnants of the largest number of ancient shipwrecks in France and the captivating treasures that have been found. In the church, many will thrill at the sight of an archaeological crypts dating back 2,000 years and discover the burial chamber secrets. And the major importance to historical buffs are the prehistoric discoveries. The first humans of the prehistoric area are believed to have inhabited the mountain range near here, and there are 2 floors dedicated to tracing this history, from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic periods. Jardin Bonaparte, or Bonaparte Gardens. This area serves as an amusement park, small shops, is attached to the boat docks, and is a location for concerts in good weather. It also has an 800-car parking garage underneath. The statue of Archangel Raphael with Toby is located in Bonaparte Garden. Archangel Raphael is the protector of the travelers and migrants. Raphael is also said to rule the second sky. Also called the Angel of Healing, this archangel is invoked to heal from a disease, defend the immune system, and lucidity of thought. Its divinity acts on studies, communications, and travel. Near the gardens is the Napoleon Pyramid of San Raphael. This memorial commemorates the return of Napoleon Bonaparte in France. In 1799, Napoleon Bonaparte and his forces arrived by ship from Egypt prior to his coup d'etat in Paris and landed at a fishing village that was the community of San Raphael. Moving on to Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona is the city on the coast of the northeastern Spain. It is the capital and largest city in the autonomous community of Catalonia, as well as the second most populous municipality in Spain. Since 1450, it is the home to the University of Barcelona, widely considered the most prestigious university in Spain. Barcelona is a major cultural, economic, and financial center in southwestern Europe, as well as the main biotech hub in Spain. As a leading world center, Barcelona's influence in global socio-economic affairs qualifies it for global city status. The Port of Barcelona, Spain, has a 2,000-plus year history and great contemporary commercial importance as one of Europe's major ports in the Mediterranean, as well as being Catalonia's largest port. It is also Spain's third and Europe's ninth largest container port, with a trade volume of 68 million tons in 2018, brought in by over 9,000 ships. The port is managed by the Port Authority of Barcelona. It is 3 square miles, are divided into 3 zones: the Old Port, the Commercial Industrial Port, and the Logistics Port, or known as Barcelona Freeport. Christopher Columbus. The monument to Christopher Columbus, or Colon, marks the foot of the southernmost end of the Ramblas. The Columbus Monument is a useful landmark to find your bearings when walking towards La Rambla, a major connecting street in the area. From your cruise ship, the walkway, which you will see in the center of the picture, is in the port area, and behind us we have a walkway across the marina to the Barcelona Aquarium. The example section of Barcelona. Before the walls of the old city quarters were demolished, small towns were scattered across the surrounding countryside. But with the arrival of the Industrial Revolution, the population grew dramatically, and Barcelona Center didn't have the best sanitary living conditions. In 1855, the City Hall called out for public competition in order to solve the city's need to grow. The example, a Catalonian word for expansion, a huge undertaking that would construct the new, healthier Barcelona. Castles in Catalonia. There are 17 castles in Catalonia, and here are some examples. You'll notice by the different architecture, the castles that were made by the Romans, the Spanish, and the Moors, while they all conquered this area. The Montjuic Castle, standing on a vantage point 173 meters above the port of Barcelona, now a peaceable place, the memory of this fortress endures in Barcelona as a symbol of repression and tortures, but also as the city struggled during different periods in its history. The top of the Montjuic is an ideal place for bastion of defense, with 360-degree views of the city below. However, this military enclave wasn't built until the Rapiers War in 1640. In 1652, the fortress, which stands on the site of the watchtower, came under royal ownership, and some 50 years later was one of the key defense points in the War of the Spanish Succession between 1705 and 1714. The Montjuic Castle continued. Later in the 20th century, the castle became a military museum. In June 1963, Francisco Franco inaugurated the Military Armor Museum, the official name given to the institution. There's not a real problem with traffic in town. Our guide informs us that the traffic is kept out of the city because the parking in the town can cost between 18 to 24 euros, or $22 to $29 per hour, which is why most use public transportation or motor scooters or other two-wheeled vehicles. The Basilica of the Sagrada Familia. The Basilica of the Sagrada Familia is a monumental church devoted to the Holy Family, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Construction began in 1882 based on the plans drawn up by Antoni Gaudí, was commissioned to continue the project in 1883. For its towering and special shape, the basilica is the most popular tourist attraction in Barcelona. The church still hasn't been completed after more than 130 years. Pope Benedict XVI consecrated and proclaimed Sagrada Familia a basilica in November 2010. Although not a cathedral, which is the seat of the bishop, the scale of the Sagrada Familia is not inferior to some of the largest cathedrals in the world. The map of the floor plan. The central tower, which represents Jesus Christ, will stand 170 meters tall. This will make Sagrada Familia the tallest church in the world after its completion, surpassing the 162-meter Ulm Cathedral in Germany. The height of the central tower is deliberately designed to be 1 meter less than that of the Masonic Hill in Barcelona, the tallest hill in the city, because Gaudí believed that his building should not be higher than the work of God. The central tower. The central tower for Jesus Christ is built directly above the chamber, which is designed to support the height of the tower and to funnel sunlight into the church. The towers of the church. Apart from the 18 towers of the church planned, 8 are finished. There are also many smaller pinnacles on the church. These pinnacles are surmounted by some other religious stuffs like sheaves of wheat, bunches of grapes, which represent the Eucharist. Casa Bayo, the Catalian pronunciation, is a building in the center of Barcelona. It is designed by Antoni Gaudí and is considered one of his masterpieces. A remodel of a previously built house, it was redesigned in 1904 by Gaudí and has been refurbished several times after that. The local name for the building is the House of Bones, as it has visceral, skeletal, organic quality. It is located in the Example district and forms part of the row of houses known as the Block of Discord, which consists of 4 buildings by noted modernist architects of Barcelona. Like everything Gaudí designed, Casa Bayo is only identifiable as modernism or Art Nouveau in the broadest sense. The ground floor in particular has unusual tracery, irregular oval windows, and flowing sculptured stonework. There are a few straight lines, and much of the facade is decorated with a colorful mosaic made of broken ceramic tiles. The roof is arched and was likened to the back of a dragon or dinosaur. The common theory about the building is that its rounded features to the left of center, terminating at the top of the turret and cross, represents the lance of St. George, patron saint of Catalonia's Gaudí's home, which has been plunged into the back of the dragon. The Barcelona 1992 Summer Games marked a turning point in the history of Barcelona, catapulting it into the leading international tourist destination it is today. The Olympic and Sports Museum is a tribute to the most memorable sporting events, featuring interactive displays, exhibits, as well as hosting live sporting events. For the first time since 1972, the Games were boycott-free as a wave of political change swept across the world. Apartheid had been abolished in South Africa. The fall of the Berlin Wall saw the reunification of West and East Germany, while the breakup of the Soviet Union saw 12 of the 15 former Soviet republics compete as a unifying team. This is also the location where the Dream Team, basketball team of the United States, played for the first time. Also, if you'll notice the picture on the left, most of us of the age to remember will remember that this is the archer, in fact, was the individual who lit the Olympic torch that you'll see in that middle white structure in the middle of the picture on the right. The Picasa Museum. Picasso moved to Barcelona when he was a child and attended a prestigious art school before acquiring his first studio in the Gothic Center. The city remained an important place for his artist throughout his lifetime, and the Picasa Museum is a testimony to that important relationship. The museum that opened in 1963 is housed in 5 adjacent medieval palaces in the district La Robla. The artworks by painter Pablo Picasso on display in the gallery belong to Cubanism and Surrealism as well as other styles. The Santa Maria del Mar Cathedral. According to recent studies, Santa Maria del Mar was built on top of a Roman amphitheater. The arrival of the first Christians in the Roman city established a place of worship to Santa Maria de las Arenas. Around the 7th century, there was already a temple to Santa Maria del Mar. The Church of Santa Maria del Mar is a Catalonian Gothic basilica that has existed in some form since at least the 10th century. Among residents, it's sometimes referred to as the Church of the Poor or the Church of the Common Man, in contrast with the aforementioned cathedral, which is attended by the city's wealthier citizens. Monument to those who died in the siege of Barcelona, 1713 to 1714. As we left the church, we wandered around the area for a little while. The streets are winding and narrow, but they are clean, and the people we met were pleasant. We happened upon a simple but moving monument called the Fosso De Los Mueras. The monument is dedicated to those who died defending the rights and Constitution of Catalonia in the siege of Barcelona. Fosso De Mueras, the Catalonian pronunciation, literally the grave of mulberries, is a memorial square in Barcelona, adjacent to the Basilica of Saint Marie de Mar. The plaza was built over a cemetery where the defenders of the city were buried following the siege of Barcelona at the end of the War of the Spanish Succession in 1714. The plaza retains its everyday use as a public space, but also prominently features a memorial to the fallen Catalans of the war with a torch of the eternal flame. The Arch de Triomphe. Designed by modernist architect, the Arch de Triomphe is Barcelona's answer to the Triumph Arch in Paris. However, unlike its northern cousin, this arch was constructed for a very different reason. As the main gate for the 1888 Barcelona Universal Exposition, it is the main artery of the city and the site of numerous cultural fairs, including markets, parades, celebrating Chinese, Thai, and Bolivian heritage, just to name a few. The National Museum of Art, Catalonia. Visitors can immerse themselves in Catalan history via sculptures, paintings, ancient relics, and more. The most famous of the permanent exhibits feature Romanesque walls and murals that were carefully relocated from church apses across Catalonia and reconstructed here in 1920. The museum is a home to the region's largest collection of Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque art, as well as a large selection dedicated to the modern artworks, including the Picasso masterpiece, Woman in Hat and Fur Collar. The Catalans demonstrate in Barcelona, Spain, against the imprisonment of separatist leaders October 19th of 2020. The picture on the left was taken by a local media person. The picture on the right was us leaving Barcelona on the 18th of October, while the police were starting to shut down all the streets in the city, knowing that the unrest was coming. The latest separatist reasons for unrest. Catalonia is deeply divided over the issue of independence. Popular support for seceding from Spain, which reached a record high of almost 50% in October 2017. On October 14th, Spain's Supreme Court sent 7 former members of the dissolved Catalonian government and 2 prominent civil society leaders to prison for 9 to 13 years, as I mentioned earlier. The 9 were acquitted of the most serious charge of rebellion because prosecutors could not prove that they had incited violence, something that we are looking at today in this country. You'll notice by the pictures on the right-hand side, the yellow and red flags of Catalonia are individuals that support the independence. As we do with all of our travel logs, tips for tourists. Always change some money, $200 to $300 worth, before you land at your destination. You can probably get better prices at your local bank than you can if you get it at the airport. Watch out for pickpockets. They're all over Europe. Wear comfortable clothes and shoes. Walking around Europe is, as you saw, without travel, without the cars and things in Barcelona, you need good shoes, so be careful. Enjoy the foods of the area you're traveling in. I hate to say this, but stay out of the back streets, okay? As with any country that had unlimited immigration from Africa and other European nations, crime has turned into a serious consideration. If you are going to travel with a rental car purchase, they're all-inclusive insurance policy. And unlike here in the United States, that policy only costs $1 or $2 extra a day. It covers everything. If you get a chip in your windshield, if you get a dent on your car, if you screw up the wheels for one reason or another. And do your research on the best ticket prices prior to just buying at the last minute. Make sure you buy skip the line tickets. If you go to the Basilica, you may stand in line just to buy tickets for 3 hours, and then you have to stand in line to get inside. So if you skip the line tickets, you buy them online, you show up, your party goes right in. It's well worth the extra $2 or $3. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe you learned some new and different things. See you the next time for more of Travel with Bill.